Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Padfoot Live Get Training. Once again, coming you straight from the training grounds that we use here at Bunnies Mountain State School Oval. Hope you've all had a great week. Before we get started on our content this week, I just wanted to touch briefly on our group classes, because obviously the government has been making a few changes, with the restrictions and so on. So, look, at the moment we understand that as of today, groups of 10 are allowed to get together for training and so on, which is a great step in the right direction for us. Technically, that means we should be able to start back in group classes from now. However, we still have to wait for the school to give us permission to recommence our official use of the Oval. So please bear with us, everyone. We'll let everybody know via the Padfoot Ed Zone or via email, when we're able to get going again. But for now, look, we're hoping it's not too far away. And
we're itching too.
Absolutely itching, yeah. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get everybody back and training, really, really soon. Okay, so this week we're going to be talking about a few things. I'm going to answer a couple of questions that you guys have posed to us. So we're going to be talking about, how you train, disabled or handicapped puppies, or puppies with a disadvantage. We're going to be talking a little bit around, taking your dogs for walks in areas of risk, such as down by the riverbank. And then Courtney's going to talk about the benefits of teaching your dog the art of doing nothing. In our masterclass section, we're going to be talking a bit more about treats and rewards and what sort of behaviours you're looking for and how to use your treats effectively. And then the trick we're going to finish up with, Buddy's trick of the week, is the crawl. So we've got Bunny here with us again today. We've also got Jimmy, who's over there being very, very good. And
for now.
Sniffing the air. He's air scenting. He's just, taking it all in, really enjoying being out here, and the wind's picked up.
Morning.
Hopefully everybody can hear us okay. The wind, it's chilly this morning. The wind is up pretty high. So we've tried to tuck ourselves away into a little bit of a corner. So I hope everybody can hear us okay. We'll do our best and see how we go. Good morning, Brooke. Thank you for the message. Nice to see you. Okay. Firstly, a question that was posed to us by Jody about talking about sort of disabled and handicapped dogs. Now, my understanding is from your message, Jody, that you've got a puppy, a deaf puppy. And so how do you go about training a deaf puppy? The fact of the matter is the process is exactly the same. You are simply working with different senses. So so don't ever think that your dog, is disadvantaged by being deaf. I mean, actually, in dog terms, that is one of their less powerful senses, arguably. So there's certainly, ways you are able to train a very, very good dog, a very high-performing dog, a very happy dog that just happens to be deaf. What you've got to be doing is teaching it behaviours like the checking in with you regularly. So making sure that it is always looking at you, waiting for a command.
High value on that focus.
Yeah, absolutely. You are making sure that you have built in a lot of very, very visual commands. Whether it's one of them, I'm sorry, Courtney. Anything, you can do this. You can do all manner of little teapots, with your body that you can train to mean something to your dog.
Well, and also, dogs are masters at reading body language. So actually, your dog's probably picking up more than you think it is anyway, especially the deaf dog.
Absolutely. So doing that, the same principle applies as we would work with any other dogs. Be consistent. Sorry, another dog has just rocked up on the oval, and we're just going to go, oh Christ. Okay, so to get back to what I was saying, now I've got my mind switched back on again. The same principle applies if you're talking about verbal commands, audible commands, anything like that. Be consistent. Decide what your commands are. Put a list up on the fridge, so that everybody is using the same command. Morning, Kerry. And then make sure that everybody in the family is using the same command, using the same movement, the hand up, the little teapot, the whatever it is, for your dogs, to direct your dog. With a deaf dog as well, you may want to consider training it effectively onto an e-collar, because it gives you the ability, as we talked about last week, to communicate remotely with your dog. Now, you don't have to have it on a stimulation setting. You could have it on a vibration setting, you know, for your dog. And
It's like a tap on the shoulder.
Yeah, and you could teach it that one long tap means look at me. Don't do nothing else. Don't come to me. Just look at me. A couple of taps could mean come. Again, you can train your dog to interpret that signal and read from it. Now, obviously, with everything to do with e-collars and so on, make sure, please, you come to us first. Let us teach you how to use them properly. They are wonderful tools, but they also can be the work of evil in the wrong hands. You know, so
especially for a deaf dog, because that could, you know, it gives you the ability to give them so much freedom if you do it correctly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, please, if that's of interest to you, Jodie, you know, come along, come and have a talk to us about this sort of stuff. But yes, if anybody else has got that, sorry, more dogs rocking up.
It's crazy this morning.
Yeah, you are. Any issues on or any questions on training dogs with any handicaps or limitations, then please do let us know. Personally, I mean, my sole dog, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago, Jester, he was, you know, blind and deaf in the last kind of couple of years of his life, and so we had to work very hard in terms of how we trained him, how we interacted with him to help him understand. Obviously, being both blind and deaf, you know, meant that you had, you know, some significant challenges to overcome.
And Cyrus is probably going to be in the same boat one day.
Yeah.
Having had chronic ear infections, getting older, I noticed that his hearing starting to fade.
Exactly. And that was exactly the same with Jester. He had chronic ear infections all of his life. Obviously, his eyes just went with age.
Yes.
The ears went as well. And it meant we had to, you know, really adapt ourselves as a family, and as a family with young children at the time, you know, to work out how to communicate with him and guide him and make sure he had a happy, you know, end of his life. So, like I said, any questions on that, please do contact us and we'll let you know, and we're more than happy to help. The next question that's come up in our groups a couple of times is, and it was an article I think that maybe I shared originally, that was on one of was it the Sunshine Coast Daily maybe or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Talking about bull sharks in the river, so Noosa River, Malula River, Twin Waters. You know, the fact of the matter is, guys, there are going to be big toothy fish in those areas. Bull sharks like those areas. That's where they choose to hunt. They will often hunt in those shallow waterways. You will see them in the canals, in the rivers, and they can get a fair distance upstream as well.
I used to live on a boat for a few years at the wharf, and the divers who scrape the bottom would say, yep, they're there 100%. They'd have them brushing past them all day long, full of them. So
yep. Exactly. I mean, I similarly, I was a commercial diver in a previous life. Used to dive a lot in the rivers, back in Perth, in the Swan River, and yeah, they're there with you all the time.
And I still swam every day.
Yep.
5 years, no legs missing.
So, they are there. What you can, and your dog looks like a fairly tasty morsel to them. As you can imagine, your dog gets in the water, it's splashing around in the shallows.
Lots of oils they give off.
Yeah, creating a lot of fuss. Ooh, interesting, come in and have a look. Bit of a taste test, and then there you go. Joggers now. Now we've got joggers. Okay. I don't think people know we rent this space. Anyway, what you need to do, you know, is just really play to the conditions. You need to work out, you know, whether it's safe and suitable for your dogs or your kids or yourselves to go in the water at that time. A couple of principles, you know, generally hold true. You know, so dawn and dusk, you know, peak hunting times is when they're going to be most active. During the day, they will often head out of the river mouth, out of the waterways, into the ocean, go into deeper areas, you know, to rest and so on. So dawn, dusk, that's when they're going to be around hunting. So avoid those times. Particularly around inclement weather. So when you've had a lot of rain, kind of, and torrential rain like we get here in Queensland upstream, it washes a lot of nutrient and muck and everything, you know, down to the river mouths. Silt. You know, the sharks can't see what's going on either. You know, it's a more heightened sensory environment for them, and so again, that's a situation where they're more inclined to do a test bite and so on. The fact of the matter is, the sharks is that they won't do a test bite, you know, with they'll often do a test bite with people and let go. With dogs, however, they're much closer to kind of
perfect size.
Yeah,
an
actual meal. So there's a couple of things you can do there, but please be aware they are there. You know, if your dog's in the water there, it's, you know, there are apex predators, you know, in that space. So just be aware of that. You know, just think before, you know, you let your dog in the water at a certain area. That's not from me for now. I'm going to hand over to Courtney now, who's going to talk a little bit about the art of doing nothing.
Awesome. So for those of you who are clients that are in the Ed Zone, I did a little bit of a post earlier this week with my 3 dogs all practicing the art of doing nothing. So literally all I had them doing was I put them in their crates, which I have lined up next to each other, so it's a little bit of impulse control. I put them in a drop and a stay, and I left them there for half an hour, I think it was. I didn't actually time it. And I think it was 3 times throughout that I went over and I just gave them a pat on the head, told them how great they were, and let them know that doing nothing is also a source of reward. So I find that this is something that clients kind of miss sometimes. It's not as obvious to people, but you know, when we're training our dog to do tricks, we give them lots of rewards and we communicate that they're doing the right thing. Teaching them that, you know, that doing nothing can also yield good things is an important skill, I think, especially so we've had a few clients with multiple young dogs in the house and they're trying to figure out how to build in that off switch, and for them to learn that there is a time for play and a time for rest. Because a lot of young dogs, they'll just play for 24 hours a day if you let them. And that can be a little bit too much. So when we want them inside, etc. Another great skill, teaching a dog who doesn't understand that coming inside from the yard means that they need to settle down. For a puppy who needs to learn that, you know, sometimes he needs to ignore the older dog in the house. It's a great way to advocate for that older dog who's possibly getting harassed a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there's a million and one uses. It's similar to how we tell people to meditate. Like, we all need that time to just switch off and do nothing. Some people need that extra encouragement to sit down and do nothing. I tend to be one of those people. I'm a little bit of a workaholic. Our dogs can be the same. So I'm a big fan of that. And it's really quite a simple exercise. It just starts as, obviously, don't expect your dog to stay in a drop for 30 minutes just at the beginning. Especially if, you know, you've only completed the foundation course potentially, or haven't even, and you're only just doing short duration, short distance stays. So I was probably only 5 meters away from my dog sitting on the couch when they did it, but it was a long duration. I would start with sitting right up in front of them, putting them on the space where you want them to be, asking them to drop, give them their little treat, tell them to stay, and it might just be, you know, you have a 1 minute goal at first. That might even be a lot for some dogs. So, and while they're sitting there, give them a treat a couple times throughout it. So it's not just boring to sit there on the bed. There's an opportunity for good things to keep coming the longer that they stay there and just chill out. So very simple, but you definitely want to be, you know, setting your dogs up for success like we talk about in everything. Start small, make it highly valuable. You know, laying there on the bed doing nothing. Oh my God, I'm getting fed treats for doing absolutely nothing. Most dogs will be pretty stoked when they figure it out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, a very valuable skill. I highly recommend anyone does it.
Yeah, great advice. Yeah, teaching them to be calm, teaching them just to be and do nothing, and teaching them that's a rewarding behaviour. Yeah, is another tool in the toolbox which you can use later on. Okay, so the next quick question next section we wanted to cover off was the masterclass section. We want to talk this week about the use of treats. Okay, treats and rewards are how, when we're using, you know, positive reinforcement, is how we reward your dogs for the correct behaviour. Okay, treats take many forms. They can be food treats, they can be toy treats, they can be affection, attention treats, they can be environmental treats. I mean, Courtney was telling me an example before.
Yeah, so a great trainer, Pat Stewart, he's on the Operate Canine, in one of his little chats he talks about releasing his dog from, you know, doing whatever he had him doing to the spot where a bitch on heat went and peed on the ground, because obviously that's highly motivating for a male dog. And I do similar, you know, with Jimmy and my dogs. Like, Jimmy loves smelling things, and it's hard for me to replicate that with myself. So oftentimes what I'll do is if I know that there's something he really is interested in sniffing, I'll make him do a few things and then I'll release him to it and let him go and get what he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to work with, what's available to you, what's going to be motivating for your dog, and use that as a reward. Okay. The key with a reward is, ultimately the value attached to an reward comes down entirely to scarcity. As you can imagine, the same in life. For all of us, the more rare something is.
Toilet paper. Great example.
Yeah. So the more
when
rare.
Do we care?
Yeah. I think we all get it now.
Yeah.
Are you still struggling?
No, I'm just saying it was a good example. Like, no one cares about toilet paper normally, but all of a sudden it was the hot topic for a few weeks.
Exactly. So what you need to be, really doing when you're using treats is making sure that once you've identified the treats that are motivating to your dog, and so that is different for every dog. Different foods, different toys, different whatever. Once you've identified what those things are, you need to make them more scarce. So you need to basically take those things away from their normal lives, and that they only get access to those things.
Yeah, it's not a free thing anymore.
No. Yeah, when they are working, when they're earning it through giving the behaviour. Okay, on that basis, they will find that a lot more motivating, and the scarcity will inspire them, to really concentrate and give you the behaviour you're looking for. Okay, what you'll find as well is that the quality of the response you get is directly related to the value of the treat that you have or that you're offering. So if you're looking for a hard and fast recall, the recall your individual dog gives you for the treat that is most motivating to it and the most scarce is the best response you can ever expect from that dog.
Yeah.
So some dogs will come in, like particularly my spaniels, will come in like a bullet from a gun. For the thing that they want. Because they're that sort of, that they operate just on that plane.
Yeah.
Other dogs, particularly some of the lab breeds I sometimes find, will, that they will almost look like they're meandering in.
Cyrus has a good meander.
Yeah. But if you are offering them the thing that is most motivating to them, and that they haven't had lots of, and that's the response you're getting from them, that's what you can expect from them. So it's important to recognise the fact that when you're in a group training situation and somebody's dog, the shepherds or the spaniels are coming in like bullets, and other dogs are just kind of prancing in, kind of
nice and cute,
not nice and cute and mellow. That's not a bad thing.
No, they're just individuals.
The other thing to recognise with treats and rewards is that if your dog is not responding in the way you want to that reward, you need to look and assess what you think is missing from the reward that you're offering. So in the case of a dog where you throw a ball, for example, it goes and gets it, you want it to return square to you, put the ball in your hand. So you want it coming back in hard and fast, right into your here. But instead what it does is it comes back in a sort of roundabout kind of way, does a few victory laps on its way back and so on, before coming to you. That's not the behaviour you're necessarily looking for. So what you've got to be looking at is, okay, you're going, right, okay, I've got a reward here, whatever your reward is. And the reward in that instance could be the fact that the ball isn't going to get thrown again, but the dog isn't coming straight back to give you the ball. So actually, on that basis, that reward isn't entirely fulfilling its needs.
It's not exactly what he wants.
So you've got to look at their behaviour and kind of go, right, so a dog that is doing a bit of a victory lap, maybe they're looking a little bit, for a bit of chase me, kind of play in it.
A game.
Exactly. So in that instance, what I'd probably be trying is things like, once you've thrown the ball, once they've got the ball, doing a nice firm recall to them, a come, a whistle command or whatever, and then rapidly backpedaling myself at the same time. Build in a little bit of a chasey game, there's some movement into the thing. So I'm just not standing there with my mug of coffee waiting for my dog to come and put the ball back in his hand, because that's not part of the game that he's really wanting. What he's really wanting is also that bit of chase me.
Yes. Yeah.
So on that basis, I might add, like I said, some movement into the thing.
And some noise too. Like, we have to make ourselves interesting.
Yeah.
I find, a lot of people, they kind of don't get that. What makes your dog want to come into you? Is it just food? Is it that you have a fun game when you get there? Is it because, you know, they can see the pure joy on your face when they do?
Yeah.
I mean, dogs that know that they're pleasing you and know that there's something extra like a game they're waiting are going to come in with way more motivation than a dog who's like, cool, this is so boring, we do this every day, mum calls me, I come in, she looks at me with a blank face and gives me my biscuit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when you're training your dogs, you know, this is next level stuff, guys. You know, so initially what you're trying to do is find what motivates them, trying to make them more scarce, only use them for training. Level 2, you know, or the more advanced level is now you're looking at them, you know you've got the right treat, you know you've taught them the behaviours.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what you're expecting, and now you're looking at the quality of the response. And if the quality of the response is not the best that your dog can offer, given, you know, all other variables out of the way, you know, this is 100% motivation for it. If it's not offering you that, you know, the best it ever gives you, you need to be looking at its behaviour at the same time to identify what may be missing.
Yeah. How we can get them going.
And then work out a way to build that in. So look, I hope that helps everyone. Again, that's if that's confusing for anybody, it is slightly kind of...
It's a complex topic.
It's a complex topic. Please do ask questions. We're more than happy to go into it in more detail in another week. Or if you think your dog is at that level, you know, and you would like us to come out and do some private work with you and your dog, working on those kind of things to really fine-tune their behaviours, please do get onto the website, padfoot.com.au, and you can book Courtney or myself to come out to your homes or to wherever you want to meet us and work on any of those behaviours.
Yes.
Okay,
Sure.
Before we finish up, it is now time for Buddy's Trick of the Week. Now this is going to be challenging for Buddy because we've got lots of other dogs and people walking around, as you can see.
Yes.
But we're going to do a bit of an extension on what we started working on last week with the drops and so on, and now we're going to start working on the come. Okay, so if Courtney walks about there, I'd say we should be able to see Buddy, and I'll step out of the way.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, so I'm hoping you guys can hear me from all the way out here with the wind. So, like James said, it's a little bit of a natural progression, similar to last week, how we added the roll onto the drop. It's going to be the same thing. I'm going to ask him to drop. I'm going to reward him for that because it's its own behaviour and its own command, and we're still fresh at it. Well, he's not, but your dog will be fresh at this point, probably. And then I'm just going to coax him forward, and I'm just looking for a slight movement. I'm looking for him to crawl forward without lifting himself up off the ground and actually walking forward. So for some dogs, they might be able to do it, for a foot or two quite quickly. Other dogs, you'll really need to break it down and make it clear to them that it's just that crawling movement, and you want to be able to reward them before their butt kind of pops up or anything like that off the ground. So, Buddy, drop. Buddy, drop. Thank you. Good boy. Alright, so I have my lure here. Roll. Yes. So see how all I've required him to do there is a little bit of a movement, because I'm just trying to make it clear to him and communicate to him that that's the kind of body mechanics that I'm asking for. And then eventually, you can still see him on the screen. You can do it for longer distances. So, roll. Awesome. So I'm giving him the command, I'm using that lure, keeping him attached to it, and then once he's completed it, to my satisfaction, I give him his yes and he gets rewarded. So yeah, it's a pretty simple one, but some dogs will really need you to break it down, and it might just be like the equivalent of a step forward that you first are rewarding, so that we're making sure we're communicating that they have to stay to the ground. Yeah. There's no popping up involved.
Yeah. What I like to look for in these things is when I'm teaching them that behaviour, even if it's just one movement, you're looking for the hind quarters to make that movement.
Yes.
So they can easily inch their front paws forward and
gotta
extend
get
their
back
backs. But what you're looking for is that hip movement where they may bring their hips, on the back legs forward a pace.
And you'll find that
And
that's
the
kind
marking.
of...
That's marking the right behaviour.
Yes, true.
You know.
And that's the thing that they'll struggle with the most. Most dogs are happy to crawl forward their paws when they get to the point where their legs are out behind them, and they have to do this little bunny hop to get their feet under them. And James is right. That would be the exact moment. So Buddy's kind of past that point. He's figured it out a little bit, some more of the mechanics. But yes, that little bunny hop moment where they bring their butt in, that's what you want to reward.
So Courtney, apparently Gran's listening. I can just see on the comments there.
Oh, good. Hello,
Denise,
Gran.
Denise
Yes,
says,
my lovely grandmother Denise. She's a beautiful nurse.
Oh, there we go. So Gran's listening. So I don't think we swore, did we, or anything like that?
No, I'm a good girl. I never swear.
Did I?
I don't know.
Okay. So that's the trick of the week. That's crawl. Okay. So also, just very quickly before we finish up, a little bit of product promo. Buddy is modelling today one of our new Padfoot training leads. These are leads, slip leads that we've designed ourselves to basically meet all the requirements we have.
Buddy, feel.
A lot of the issue that that I have in particular, living up here around here on the sunny coast, is we take our dogs to the beach all the time, and that can really affect the integrity of any metal parts in your leads. The Padfoot leads that we are using at the moment, which Courtney is demonstrating, I don't know if you want to step in a little bit so I can see
I'm
a
trying to
little
make sure
bit.
they can see Buddy still.
But it's basically, you know, just a knotted rope that we've designed, so it's got no weak parts inside.
I don't know if you can see, this is the way you want it. So my dog's on my left here. You want it so it's like a P facing. So the long part of it's coming over their neck and towards you.
And then just drop them straight down over their neck.
So that makes sure it releases properly.
If your dog walks on the right hand side, you're doing the cue, so you're working in the other direction. Okay. The other thing we're also starting to stock now are soda pup dog toys. This one I think is awesome. I love this. This is basically a hand grenade for your dog to go and chase. Obviously not something you want in a normal military setting, but look, we've got a few samples of these. Courtney's been putting them to the boys.
Oh yes, my boys have been testing
this
them.
week, and so these have been thoroughly field tested. You know, by what's Cyrus?
He's an American Bulldog and a Rottweiler as well.
And then we've got Jimmy, who's a Rottie.
Yes.
And by Bud. So they've been, they've been properly tested. We like them. They seem pretty sturdy, pretty indestructible.
Yeah, they're quite similar in texture to the Kong, and so this is the Magnum strength too. So that's I don't know if anyone's dog's gonna get through that.
So that's pretty sturdy. But they come with a warranty, I believe, as well.
Yep. Replacement guarantee 30 days if they do manage to destroy it.
Okay. So we are going to be putting up some links to buy these on the website. Also, our trainers, if they come out to you, will be carrying some in case you need these sort of things, or you can buy them in group classes if you're a member of our group classes. They can also be filled with treats, similar to Kongs, peanut butter,
good enrichment,
whatever. There's a few other designs. I don't know if Courtney wants to grab a few ideas. This one is obviously for the boys. The hand grenade. We've got a few other.
So we have a cute little frog.
Yep.
That was a favourite with my boys. They like the shape of that.
Yep.
A cute little cupcake.
Yeah.
And then this is their kind of classic. So this is their version of kind of, what the Kong is. It's just the basic.
Yeah.
And so that comes in all different sizes. I'll even grab. We've got tiny little Chihuahua size.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yep. You got little tiny puppy, little puppy.
Here are some of the smaller sized ones. So we can cater for everyone.
Yeah. So these are great. They're shipped in straight from the US. Really good. So we're going to start. You'll be able to order them directly from padfoot.com.au.
At the moment, you can just send me a message on my Instagram if you would like one.
Yeah. So if you want a slip lead, if you want anything like this, please just get on the website. We're happy to help. That's us. That's it for this week.
Yep.
I hope that's been really, really helpful for everyone. Any questions that you want us to answer next week, as usual, please DM us during the week, and we'll make sure we cover them off.
Yes, sure.
Where possible. But also, if you've got anything more urgent, please do ask any questions. We'll obviously try and help.
Yeah. We want to help.
Yeah, we're here to help. And of course, Courtney and myself are available to you, whenever you need us to be. Also keep an eye on our social media profiles, because we'll communicate as soon as we're able to get back up and running with the group classes. We'll be able to communicate with that to you. We're also actually taking bookings for the next round of group classes now,
Yes.
with dates just TBC, to be confirmed.
Yep.
So if you'd like to secure your place on a group class now, obviously we have limited places in the groups, so it's on a first come first served basis. You can actually secure your space now.
Yeah, you just pick your time slot. So whether
Yeah.
you want to do Sunday 8 a.m, Sunday,
Yeah.
I'm not sure 100% what the time slots
Yeah.
are,
Yeah.
but you just pick your time slot and just we'll let you know when we start.
And then, and as soon as we're able to run that course, we'll let you know the start date. Okay,
Awesome.
great. So thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a great
you.
week, and enjoy training with your dogs. Take care. See yous.
Bye.